Imagine an army that conquered the world not just with swords and discipline, but with a secret weapon they carried in their stomachs. A weapon more powerful than any single general, more crucial than any temporary alliance. This wasn't a magical potion or a rare superfood. It was a simple, brutal, and shockingly efficient diet, engineered by the Roman war machine to turn ordinary men into unstoppable forces of nature. In this video, you'll discover exactly what a Roman soldier ate day after day, campaign after campaign. And by the end, you may find yourself asking the ultimate question: could your body and your mind survive on the fuel that built an empire? Before we understand the food itself, we have to face the numbers, and they are staggering. A single legion on the march, over 8,000 men, required thousands of calories per soldier every single day. We were talking about an army that consumed the equivalent of a small city's worth of food daily. But Rome was rarely fighting in its own fertile backyard. They were in the rain-soaked forests of Germania, the arid deserts of the East, the frozen mountains of Scotland. How do you feed a monster like that in the middle of nowhere for years on end? The answer wasn't found in lavish feasts or hunted game. It was found in a doctrine of logistical genius and brutal simplicity. The Roman soldier wasn't a gourmet. He was a furnace, and his fuel was calculated down to the last gram. The march began before sunrise, but the first meal of the day was not a priority. A Roman soldier's breakfast was a mere formality, a handful of hardtack or a small portion of yesterday's bread, washed down with water. There was no time for cooking fires. The goal was movement, and the real energy would be needed later. The true engine of the legion, the caloric heart that powered every step, every swing of the shovel, every thrust of the gladius, was the evening meal. But to get there, they first had to survive the day. And for that, they relied on the most infamous and essential item in their kit, their dry rations. Each man carried his own world on his back, and a significant portion of that weight was food. The standard load included 3 days' worth of rations. This was not fresh food. This was survival gear. The core of this was grain, specifically wheat. Each soldier was issued a daily ration of roughly 1 kilogram of wheat. This wasn't optional. It was as much a part of his equipment as his sword. He carried it in a sack, ground it himself using a portable stone mill he shared with his 8-man contubernium, and it was his responsibility to prepare it. But raw grain is useless. The genius, and the shock, was in how they transformed it. The absolute backbone of the Roman soldier's diet, the substance that truly fueled the empire, was Puls, a thick, bland porridge made from boiled spelt or wheat. This was their calorie base. It was cheap, it was incredibly efficient to transport as raw grain, and it was virtually indestructible. It could be cooked quickly in a marching pot over a campfire. But imagine eating a plain, gruel-like porridge every single day of your life. The mind would rebel. The body would crave more. And that's where Rome's first piece of dietary genius came in, the condimentatum, the flavoring allowance. Alongside his grain ration, a soldier received a monthly salary that included deductions for his food. But crucially, he also received a fixed allowance to buy supplements. This wasn't a luxury. It was a calculated strategy to prevent malnutrition and, more importantly, morale collapse. With this small amount of money, soldiers could buy salt, olive oil, vinegar, vegetables, and even cheese or cheap wine from the merchants that followed the army. This system was revolutionary. It allowed for personal taste, provided essential fats and vitamins, and kept the men from deserting over the soul-crushing monotony of plain Puls. But one item on that list was far more important than all others. It was issued directly by the state in vast quantities. It was more precious than gold on the frontier. It was salt. Salt, or sal in Latin, was so vital that a soldier's salary was known as his salarium, the root of our word, salary. He was literally paid in salt. Its value was incalculable. It preserved meat. It made bland food edible. It was crucial for preventing dehydration and maintaining electrolyte balance during long, grueling marches under the scorching sun. A legion without salt was a legion that would weaken, cramp, and fail. But there was another liquid even more common than salt that the army consumed in truly astonishing amounts. A drink so sour, so acidic, that it defined the Roman soldier's life. Posca. Forget the image of legionaries drinking pure water or fine wine. Their everyday drink was Posca, a mixture of sour wine, vinegar, and water. It sounds revolting to the modern palate, but it was a beverage of stunning practicality. The acetic acid in the vinegar killed harmful bacteria in questionable water sources. It was a primitive but effective disinfectant. It helped with thirst and again provided essential electrolytes. Every soldier carried a water skin, and it was almost certainly filled with Posca. It was the taste of the campaign itself, sour, sharp, and functional. There was no romance in it, only survival. And then there was the meat. The Roman soldier was not a vegetarian. But fresh meat was a rarity, a luxury enjoyed after a successful hunt, or when an animal from the baggage train had to be slaughtered. The everyday protein source was something far more durable: salted pork. Bacon or lardum was a standard issue. The army maintained huge pig farms in the provinces to supply the legions. Pork was heavily salted, smoked, and stored in barrels. It was tough, chewy, and incredibly salty, but it provided the vital fats and proteins needed for immense physical labor. A small piece of this bacon could be added to the Puls, transforming it from a bland mush into a hearty, if not exactly delicious, stew. This was the classic meal of the legionary: a bowl of wheat porridge, flavored with salt, vinegar, a dash of olive oil, and chunks of salted pork. It was a meal designed for one purpose, and one purpose only: to rebuild the body that had been broken during the day's march. But the true testament to the Roman military diet wasn't its everyday monotony. It was its ability to sustain life and combat effectiveness in the most extreme circumstances. During the Dacian Wars, Emperor Trajan's legions fought in remote mountainous terrain for years. Their supply lines were stretched to the breaking point. Their survival depended entirely on the rations they carried and could forage. The wheat, the salt, the Posca, the salted pork, this wasn't just food. It was their armor against starvation. It was the reason they could build siege works and fight battles, while their enemies, who may have eaten better in times of peace, succumbed to hunger and disease. The Roman diet was a weapon of war. So could you survive it? Could you thrive on a daily routine of hardtack, a kilogram of wheat porridge, a few strips of leathery bacon, and a constant supply of sour vinegar water? Could your stomach handle the relentless simplicity, the lack of variety, the sheer physical burden of processing such rough utilitarian fuel? The Roman soldier didn't just survive it. He conquered the known world on it. He didn't eat for pleasure. He ate for power. He was a machine, and this was his fuel. The shocking diet of the Roman legions wasn't about taste. It was about triumph. If you found the reality of their march shocking, share this video and let us know what other brutal realities of history you want us to uncover. And as always, may Mars guide you.